Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for taking the time to join us today. I am Karen Osborne, VP of Product and Operations here at Peakzi. We're excited to have a really strong group of operators here to talk about what's changing in home services right now, especially as AI starts to shift how customers find and choose their contractors. This is going to be a little bit different than your typical webinar. There's no slides, no presentations, just real conversations with real people in the field. As we go, please put your questions into the Q&A section. We will be monitoring those throughout and leave time at the end to dig into them. So please utilize that function. We want this to be a really engaging conversation. Quick note before we get started, Sarah with Roman Home Services was originally scheduled to join us today, but had a family emergency and couldn't make it. We really appreciate her planning to be here and excited to have Gage join us in her place. Gage is from Fast Home Services. I'm glad that you could join us today. To kick it off, I'm going to turn it over to Pawan. He is our co-founder and CEO of Peakzi. He's going to frame what we're seeing at a high level and why the shift is happening faster than most people realize. Juan, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Karen. I'm happy to be here with Lynn, Gage, and Derek, and of course, all of you. Friends, our livelihoods are about to be impacted in ways most of us haven't even imagined yet. Soon, your next customer won't even choose you; their AI agent will. And the next contractor hired in your market, they may never even get a phone call. The job will just appear on their calendar. And that's not science fiction. That's where AI is going. Someone said something to me recently that I haven't been able to shake. AI is the new UI. I love that, especially in the context of contractors, because it means the interface between your business and your next customer is no longer a phone call or a Google search. It's an intelligent system making decisions on someone's behalf. And it's moving faster than most people realize. The operators on this call, running real businesses, managing real organizations, they don't have a dedicated team tracking all of this for them. And that gap was bothering me, so we created Peakzi. In a couple of decades in this industry, building successful companies, I've learned something really simple. The ones who win always see it coming, and the ones who don't are always asking, what happened? This happened during the time of reviews. I was also listening to Bill Gurley yesterday, one of the most respected investors in Silicon Valley. He's created companies like Uber, etc. He talked about boldness, regret, the pain of looking back and wishing you had moved when you had a chance. This industry, in my belief, is at one of those moments right now. So that's why we're all here today, not to sell you anything, to make sure you have a fair shot at what's coming up. And what's coming is this: for 20 years, homeowners search for contractors. Now their AI agents will. Think about that for a second. You opened Google, you typed, the classic search was plumber near me. You clicked, you called, you booked. That was the system we're all used to. Contractors who mastered Google, they won leads. PPC, SEO, we're all familiar with that. Local service ads, win the click and win the job. Now, here's where what's already happening. I asked an AI assistant a very simple question: who are the most trusted HVAC contractors in Dallas? No links came back, no ads, no map pack, just three names with reasons why each one was trustworthy. That's not the future. That happened last week. Now take it one step further. A homeowner says to their phone, my AC stopped working, get it fixed. Their AI agent does not open Google. It already knows the problem. It already knows the price range. It already knows which contractors in the area are reliable. It just books the job. No search, no clicks, no ads, just a decision. The contractors who are pulling ahead right now share one thing in my mind. They stopped thinking about their AI online presence as marketing. They started to treat it as infrastructure. Now, here's the part nobody wants to talk about: price transparency, and it's already here. And I mean right now. 2 years ago, Peakzi predicted this was coming. In January 2026, Google quietly launched a feature. I don't know if you guys have seen it, have AI get prices. A homeowner searches for a plumber. Google's AI contacts businesses in the map pack, scrapes pricing from their website and Google Business Profile, and sends the homeowner a comparison. It started with plumbers. It has now expanded into HVAC, electrical, and landscaping, and soon roofing is coming. If your pricing isn't visible and consistent online, you are being filtered out, just passed over silently. And the reputation works the same way. One strong Google profile is no longer enough. AI is reading Yelp, Angie, BBB, Nextdoor, Facebook, House, you name it. Every credible place your business appears, not just marketing, intelligence, your reputation, your competitors, pricing signals, demand trends, even your talent in your market. And all of this is happening in seconds. We started a podcast recently. It's called Home Services Success Stories, free for every one of our clients, not because we wanted listeners, because podcast content is one of the most powerful signals AI systems use when deciding who's credible and who isn't. So that's the whole game right there. If the picture is clear, you get considered. If it is fragmented, you get skipped. This is not optional. This is not someday. Google already has the price data. The AI systems are already scanning. The only question is, when it scans your business, what does it find? So do your business a favor today. Go find out, where do you actually stand. We built a free AI visibility score for exactly this reason. It's free, takes 2 minutes, no pitches, just the truth about how your business appears to intelligence systems right now. Yeah, if you want, my team can provide you with that link, no obligations at all. Thank you for being here today to hear us out. And Karen, over to you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Pwan. That's exactly the shifts we're seeing and what makes this conversation so important. We're going to go to each of our speakers now as they share what they're seeing directly in their field. Lynn, I'll start with you. From your perspective, what are you seeing change right now?
Well, everything that Juan had mentioned. So just a quick background though on me. So I've been in the industry for over 25 years, and I think that's important to note only because I was around seeing the shift between yellow pages to the internet. And when, Google LSA and Google Ads started to pop up. And so I think this is a similar shift, but much different, obviously. And we're definitely seeing not only the way that customers are searching, obviously with AI, the way our technicians are using it, the way that homeowners are using it, they're coming to us more educated with what needs to be done, even fact checking us once we're in their home. So they might be fact checking us on pricing or what our diagnosis is. They may even know or think that they know what it is prior to us arriving. So we're really focusing on paying attention to some of the trust factors, as Puan had mentioned. we had attended a conference back in September, and I thought they did a really good job talking about and having a speaker that talked about things that you can do from different blog articles, whether you disclose the exact price or not, at least talking about the pricing in some way, whether you're at least addressing it, price ranges to why pricing is what it is. Clients are no longer searching, as much. They're asking full questions. And so having different content that's available and out there that really is going to answer their questions that they're asking the chat bots, then that's super helpful as well. And, with using the Peakzi website and their AI site and helping to generate some blog articles, that's been really helpful for us in building some of those trust factors that are out there. We're also really focusing on those reviews, as you had said. We've been doing it, thankfully, for quite a while, but we do notice that it's even more important than ever. So all of that stuff, including speed to lead, the faster we answer. So there's AI that's available, to be able to help with the speed to lead, but people move on very quickly. So if they are calling you, and I think that Juan, what you had said, we were talking about that here the other day. Our website's going to become irrelevant at some point, the way that they look today, because customers are no longer, or maybe not irrelevant, but customers are no longer going to be going to them in the same way that they're going to them now, right? And researching some of that data. But also responding to those leads really quickly. People's attention spans and expectations for having an answer have increased greatly. So we're trying to implement different things from, AI agents for phones, but I still think that there's a need, and there's a need for people to have live answered phones. Not everybody wants to go and have a live AI agent, but I think that's part of the conversation, not just in how you're getting the calls, but how you're taking care of them once you receive them. So those are some different things that we're really paying attention to. There's some sponsored ads that are available now within like ChatGPT, but they're only available to national brands is what we're finding, or what we're being told currently. So I think there's going to be a paid aspect of it, but they're testing it out on these national brands initially. And that's something that really, really paying attention to and looking for as well, I think is super important. So those are just some different areas that, we're really focused on. Also updating some photos on websites. We're, talking to some really smart people and some intelligent people like Juan, and some people at other companies as well, giving us information that's helping us to put content out there that clients will find worthy, and the chatbots will find worthy to show up in these these AI searches. Comparisons, they want to know better and best. And to Juan's point about who's the best company in this area, but also what's the best XYZ product, service. And so putting out content that the different the different AI sites will be able to scour and find, so that our information is controlling that narrative and coming up in those searches. So those are some different things that we're doing.
Thank you, Lynn. That's some great insight in different aspects to home services. Next, we'll go with Gage. What are you seeing on your side?
Hello, everyone. I'm Gage Beisch, head of marketing over at Fast Home Services. We serve the Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, and Bay areas across water heaters, general plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. I'm going to echo a lot of what Lynn just shared. One of the biggest things that we're emphasizing here at Fast is optionality. We understand that there's a change, occurring really across the board in terms of how consumers are finding information and also how they want to convert. We're not neglecting our phone, our website, or general forms, or these more traditional mediums for acquiring leads that have been highly successful over the last several decades. But whether it's people researching meal planning based on what's in their fridge, finding recommendations for schools, or really anything that ties into day-to-day life, we see a huge uptick in utilizing ChatGPT, Gemini, or other similar AI agents and sources to inform those decisions. And it's important to us that we are injecting ourselves into that same conversation and really seeding these platforms with information that we already have, whether it's on our website, whether it's in Google, Yelp, Angie, again, to echo what Pawan shared, but ensuring that that information is making its way to the customer in a way that's usable and sets us up for success. I think we also are using technologies like Peakzi to identify demand trends and to tailor the general day-to-day activities, whether in sales or marketing or operations, to best set up those teams for success, which can look like giving folks time back, emphasizing when the phone rings, ensuring that that is a call and an opportunity to sell, and maybe passing off some of the more general customer service or operational functions of our call center to an AI agent or a bot, or things that are ultimately going to give more time back to my team to do the things that they're good at, which is again selling, helping the customer, and ultimately in delivering high quality service. I think that we're seeing across the industry, a large shift in terms of how these leads make their way to us. I'm sure folks on here can echo similar struggles around cost per clicks and our overall ad budgets via Google Ads rising. I think we see traditional channels on the SEO side, like Google My Business or again other organic traffic, struggling to deliver what it's delivered historically. And that isn't because consumer demand is necessarily diminishing or evaporating. The means in which they want to get this information is just changing. And our belief is that by working with folks like Peakzi, we can recognize that sooner and basically tailor our strategy to deliver the value that we've always provided, but in this new place, most commonly being ChatGPT or again, some of these different AI platforms. We've worked with Peakzi for about 4 months now, and month over month, I am starting to see more and more traffic from ChatGPT or Gemini directly to our website. Was very, very it was very reaffirming to see a number of phone calls originating from ChatGPT this month in March specifically, and just continuing to build upon really that momentum that we're gathering as a result of these partnerships. And again, ultimately keeping the customer kind of front of mind and using any of these tools to deliver the best customer experience possible.
All right. Thanks, Gage. It's really interesting to hear from different perspectives that it's touching in different parts, from the call center to visibility to market demand and trends. And it's really, you and Lynn both capitalized off that, how AI is changing that in home services right now. Derek, I would like to go, same question to you. What's standing out in your market to you? Oh, it looks like Derek had some technical issues going on. They have some storms going on in his area, and it looked like he got kicked off from the call. So if he can rejoin, we'll go back to him. But what I'll do is start opening up to some questions, and this can be to any of the speakers. Pawan talked about homeowners saying, my AC stopped working, get it fixed, and an AI agent booking the job without a single phone call. How close do you think that actually is? And have you seen early signs, actions in your own market?
I saw in the news recently an integration between Angie's List and ChatGPT. So the more I read up on it, it does feel like it's in its infancy. Someone needs to already have an Angie account and to have manually turned on that integration, if you will. But I think it shows us that that's the direction that we're moving. I think some of those connections, if you will, between different software tools are going to become more automatic, and is a reflection of the direction that we're headed. Pawan and I were having a conversation before this began, just talking about how that type of integration or automation is likely 6 to 12 months away. But again, the table is set for what the consumer is going to begin to expect, because it's what other industries are going to be delivering, whether it's e-commerce or it's restaurants, or really anything in between. And we, at FAST think that it's important that we reflect what, again, the consumer is going to begin to expect themselves. And we want to kind of ride that wave, if you will, and be first to market with those tools, instead of playing catch up, which is again likely it's something that will be here sooner than later.
I think I can add to that. I feel that the infrastructure is already built. ChatGPT, as you all know, has an agent mode. Google has agentic tools live right now. Uh, what's really missing is a consumer habit. And in my experience, that changes faster than anyone expects once the tools are in people's hands. The contractors who are preparing now will be ready. The ones who are waiting for proof, I believe, will be too late. At Peakzi, we're already tracking all of these signals across the markets, so our clients can see what's coming before it hits them. I mean, the same exact trend is what I saw when we were building Pulsem. Um, and if you look back in 2015, when nobody had, many reviews, the people who were the first to get, accelerated reviews coming in, genuine reviews coming in, were the biggest beneficiaries and the biggest winners. This is much larger than that. This is I always say that there's evolutionary and revolutionary technologies. This is absolutely revolutionary technologies. You're not going to see more than one or two in your lifetime. That's how big this is. And for people who don't believe in it, I encourage them to dive deeper into this technology for personal reasons, for personal projects, and you'll see the power. Derek is back. So, Karen, do
Yeah.
you want to give Derek a chance to
Y-
speak?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back, Derek. I know you have some storms in your area, but would love to hear how you're seeing it, if AI change in your area and in your business.
For sure. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're having power outages like every 5 minutes. So I'm resetting it constantly. So I apologize. So yeah, I look at this a little bit differently. AI is a huge benefit to people, and I see a lot of people using it. People still hate fake things, though. They don't like things that are fake. So I see people using AI in video. People are hating it. They want transparency, just like with the company they're dealing with. So before, people would just go to your website to learn about you and find out about who you are. AI now is scouring the entire internet to find out who you are. And it's interesting. I just asked AI about our business, and it made its own determination that we looked corporate because we had really good wrapped vehicles and we had our stuff together. And that tells me that I need to have information out there, enough information, enough content that teaches AI that we are 100% locally owned. Because what people are starting to realize is private equity is taking over and they don't like their business practices most of the time. It becomes more about profits and less about people and culture and taking care of your community. So that told me I need more content out there to train AI to tell customers who we really are. Because before they just went on our website and they could learn it, and I could spend less time on just making my website, give the customer all the information that I want. But now they are going all over the internet to make the determination about your company. So I said, I need to make more content about how we're 100% locally owned and how we're not corporate. And I think that's the transition that we're going to start seeing, is that we don't know how each AI system is going to gather their data. Some of them take it from certain sites, reviews. We generally kind of know what they're doing, but that's going to continue to change. As AI gets smarter, it might start making its own determinations based on, new algorithms. So it's smart to focus on what Peakzi tells us because it's information that's very valid, but we need to continually adapt with how the market is moving. And I think one thing that contractors and companies need to focus on is content. And I say video content, social media content. Most of our applicants come from TikTok and Instagram. And as the new Gen Z starts buying homes, they're not going to look just at Google reviews anymore. They're going to go to your TikTok page and your Instagram page. They're going to think those Google reviews are fake. So I think you need to start becoming creative as things change. AI is one of those changes. And you're going to need to start doing things differently, because if you're just relying on entering stuff into ChatGPT and it's saving your life and it getting your business on track, that's not enough. You're not going to make it.
Thank you, Derek. And leading into that, we have a question um, from one of the audiences, what it says, um, with AI becoming so integrated, are any of you worried about the personal connection we make with our homeowners before our technicians even arrive on their at their home? And you kind of just went into that at some point, so I would love for you to answer that.
Yeah, so in my every market's different, right? If you've got a really young clientele in a metro area, they're going to be a little bit more susceptible to AI answering. Our market is mostly retirees. They hate it. They might in the future get a bit better, but they hate it. So we literally advertise on our website, always speak to a real human. Now, do we use AI along the way? We do. We use it to optimize the process. But we have to listen to our customers. And if our customers are telling us that they like when AI does this, but they don't like when AI does that, we need to be careful of just, getting rid of all of our people because we can get an AI call center and it could save money on your budget. I mean, you need to remember like what this is for. This should be for your community and taking care of people and not just all about profit. So I think that we need to be careful about, implementing AI, in all of the places of your business where, people still matter. And people are going to learn how to prompt AI as well as things move on. We're thinking they're like, what's the best HVAC company near me? As people get better at prompting AI and learning about AI, they're going to ask a question like this. I want a local company that's not private equity owned, that's reasonable, that still has real people answering the phones. And as people get smarter with prompting, you're going to see things like that. So the best HVAC company around that is what everyone's focusing on now might not be what's there in the future. So yeah, that'd be my answer to that.
All right, thank you, Derek. And then Lynn, I have a question for you from the audience. You mentioned customers pretty much price checking with technicians in the home using ChatGPT. What is it like for the technician, and how do they handle this?
Well, it can be, tricky. So, I mean, I was actually, and just to relate in a different way too, before I answer that, I was with my dad. My dad's 73 years old, and he had a fireplace guy at his house, and he didn't believe the diagnosis from the technician or what the permit laws were. So he is on ChatGPT at 73 years old, fact checking the technician. My dad's the worst nightmare of these techs, right? And he's fact checking to make sure that what the guy is saying is accurate. Turns out it wasn't, with the code regulations and things like that. So we haven't had quite that experience, but I think that is a real possibility because people are getting that diagnosis. They're trying to diagnose it themselves, and whether they want to fix it themselves is another question. And what ChatGPT, it is kind of garbage in, garbage out. So it's only reporting back what it's finding on the internet. And so if it's finding low pricing because it's low pricing for certain companies that are only providing that information, that's only what it's going to provide. So we have to build a lot of value. And unfortunately, it's not telling you what the source of, or it might be regional pricing that it's providing, but it's not telling you that it found it from this one-man shop that doesn't have overhead, that doesn't have warranties. It's only been in business for, a year and isn't going to be around maybe in the future. And it's not telling you what their guarantees are, what kind of materials. So we just have to do a lot of value building and talk about kind of sharing that information. I think people don't always know, what information is being fed back to them and why, but also just really building the value on what we offer. Can't speak to what other people's prices are, but you called us for these reasons, and this is what we do for our price. Don't talk bad about anything else, but this is what we do.
All right, thank you.
So, excuse me, Karen. So I just wanted to add a little bit to what Derek said. So I think, think about it this way, that information is going to find you basically. So what you have to do is to invest in the right information and put that structure in the information. What used to be true was that if you had just a rating on reviews and 2,000 reviews, that would be enough for you to get a phone call. That time is gone. So the best way to think about this is, do you have the right information? Do you have the right trust signals? So somebody asked that question, that we have that human touch. Should we continue with that human touch? Absolutely. That's your differentiator. If that's how you intend to differentiate, you should absolutely continue that and make it your differentiator, because people will talk about it and people will mention that. And once it gets mentioned, it becomes a record. It becomes your information that AI agents will look for. And to me, that those are the trust signals that you need to create in this new marketplace that actually will help you differentiate. Everybody's going to have technicians, everybody's going to have technology. What is it that you have that is different? If you haven't already done so, come on to a podcast, talk about your story, whether you do it with Peakzi or somewhere else, please do it. Please come out and tell your story. Who are you and what is your company all about and why should the customer trust you? That's what's important.
Very well said. We have a couple of questions that are similar. One was specifically to Gage, but it's open up to the whole panel as well. It's about how tracking those calls from ChatGPT. Is it through CSRs asking, or do you have different methods to do those lead attributions to those engines?
Yeah, and as this is a relatively new, endeavor for us, and is likely a result from the optimization work that we've been doing on our subdomain with Peakzi, it is a little bit vague. I will be transparent in that sense. But the way I'm measuring this is through Google Analytics. I can see the number of sessions that originated from a traffic acquisition standpoint from ChatGPT, and then what we've defined as a key event across those sessions being a phone call. And that's the data that I'm using to share these calls from ChatGPT. We are actively kind of rethinking some of our UTM parameters to make these specific calls a little more obvious in our CRM. But again, this is something that's relatively new as of March to our business. And one of the things that is largely, in my opinion, being driven by, again, the work that we're doing with Peakzi to pull in queries specific to the products and services that we provide in a specific market or zip code, and just direct the customer to the specific landing page, because that's what ChatGPT has defined as the most relevant information to their question.
Right. And then I have some other questions. I'm going to open it up to the panel again. A lot of we talked about some different aspects of, have you ever found incorrect or inconsistent information about your business on a platform you weren't even monitoring? And what did you do about it? Because with AI, it's very important to have that consistency.
I don't know that we found I mean, there's been small discrepancies of hours of operation or little things like that. So going to the source and working with them to get it cleaned up. I don't know that we've personally had a lot of major discrepancy in them saying something that we do that we don't do, or some, I don't think there's been anything big for us, but when there's been little things, making sure you go back to that source, you find out that it's a thing that now exists that you didn't know was existed on your company, and just really working to clean up. They have these free listings in different areas, and working with those companies to clean it up, and then, add as much correct data as you can.
Right.
I can say something on that on behalf of some of the other clients that we have. So one of the clients reported that they have discounts available for veterans and all kinds of discounts that are listed on the website, but Angie's by default would on their website just say, "Do you offer discounts for seniors?" It by default the answer was no. So if you don't go in manually and correct that, the default answer is no, and the AI agent will in a second pick that up. And if the question was asked, is there a discount? They're going to say no. And those are the kinds of things that you have to watch out for consistently, like be looking at what are the default answers on some of these sites that matter, and actually correct that information. In the past, the truth always came from your website because that was where the customers were going. Well, now it's like 100 different sites that AI agents will be looking at.
And Juan, we have a checklist. So every year we've got a system where we try to, we keep adding to it. But if there's different platforms that we're on, that it's not just set it and forget it either. So we're going on there and we're reviewing it, even if it's not something that might be an auto renew. You might have something that auto renews, they just charge month to month, and you forget to go back in there and review the contents of that website that you might have or that listing. And so doing that on an annual basis, or maybe even it's more frequently these days, we're updating pictures. So we have a task list for my marketing team to go in and make sure they're doing some updates and keeping the content on there fresh, and that little tweaks to it, but nothing that we've done, years of service, just even little things like that, that stuff stays updated. So making sure you have a process to make sure that it actually happens.
So this happened to us, where it was inaccurate information. I went to Gemini and I said, "Tell me the largest locally owned HVAC company in our area," and it listed a bunch that were smaller than me. And I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "What about climate experts?" And Gemini was like, "Oh, that's a very well run corporate company." And I said, "Well, how did you make that determination?" And it was like, "Oh, based on the size of the business and how well it's run." And I said, "No, look further." And it's like, "Oh, actually, I did look on the About Us page and it said it was locally owned." So, and then it started changing it where it was like, "Oh, that would be my top pick," but I didn't have enough content out there to scream up forward that we were, locally owned. It had to go deeper to find that information. So I had to prompt, a lot more than, customers probably willing to do. And it made that determination on its own because we don't list anywhere that we're corporate, we're a corporate company or we're not locally owned. So that was something that was really interesting where I'm like, okay, this is telling me that we do not have enough content out there that is easily accessible to AI that is telling it that we are the best locally owned company in our area.
Yeah, because we actually had a question come in for you, Derek, around similar, like our customers asking if you're PE owned, or is this through research you're doing on yourself, based on perception? It's interesting that you said chat told you that your business looked PE owned, and so
Right.
that was a question that came through.
Well, customers are it's interesting because we didn't get this a couple of years ago where people were so concerned about it. But PE is not just consolidating HVAC, plumbing, and electric businesses. They're kind of consolidating a lot of different industries. So people are understanding what this is now, and they're seeing changes, right? They're seeing the local restaurant that used to be owned by mom and pop, now, corporate owned. They're seeing the changes, and sometimes it's good. A lot of times it's not so good for the customer, at least. So we are getting so many customers that are doing that research beforehand and calling us just because we are professional, we're available same day, and we're not owned by private equity. One of the biggest reasons why they call us is that we're locally owned. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, I put a lot of content out there and I must not be putting the right content in the right places to 100% make sure that this is going to be accurate. So, but it is a buying signal for homeowners. They typically want to do business with someone that they can trust that's local.
All right, thank you, Derek. And then, uh, kind of going into another question, I'm going to open this up, and I know Pawan will have some answers with this one as well. But is this system scalable to smaller companies, 1 million?
My answer is, of course, yes. I want the small contractors to succeed. To me, it's not about what we get paid. It's about doing the right thing for yourself. I think you have a chance of an enormous success, sort of it's a wonderful opportunity that I see for a smaller contractor because now your success is not dependent on how much money you can spend on Google. And that's the way to look at it. And if you can invest in creating those trust signals within the AI domain, I think you once again there's an opportunity for a small contractor to succeed in a very big way. So my recommendation is even if you're a $1 million company, think of how you can actually create that right infrastructure for you to start getting organic traffic coming your way. And the only thing you've got to do there is keep on establishing those trust signals and make sure that your information is is up to speed with AI standards.
And I would just add, regardless of size, a lot of the demand insights that you guys offer related to permits pulled in a specific zip code or overall job demand, in plumbing, electrical, or HVAC, more data is always going to be better, in my opinion. And regardless of if you're doing $1 million or you're doing $50 million, knowing where you stand relative to the market and what it's able to provide is always going to leave you in a better position than, the alternative.
Agree.
Well said. Yeah. And then we have another question of how do you get calls originating from ChatGPT?
So again, I'll go back to kind of what I said before. We work with you guys to optimize our domain to be, ideally picked up by more of the LLMs, and we do so in a question and answer based way, and ensuring that all of our offers and any relevant information about the company is kind of structured in a way that the bot prefers versus maybe a human. I know we work with you to make sure that data isn't necessarily visible to the human customer in a way that might be confusing. But it's really that structure, I think, on the back end that increases your likelihood of you being returned as the result. But compounding on that is obviously your reviews, your reputation, how long you've been doing it, the relevant zip codes, and really just trying to kind of marry what we've been doing before with the direction we kind of view, the way technology is headed. And because we are at the infancy stage, if you will, with a lot of these technologies, it is a little bit of a black box. So we like to experiment. Bijan is our account manager, customer success manager, and him and I spend a lot of time just brainstorming different ideas and testing different campaigns. And it's largely this kind of trying different things, seeing what works, and retooling versus this one size fits all. Hey, you just got to do this, and ChatGPT starts spitting out like crazy.
Right. Thank you.
I guess I can add just a quick sort of perspective on this, that I think that a lot of people will think that the technology is not really ready because the lead generation is not coming from AI yet, and that's a good perspective. But I think this is the truth, that there's close to $1 trillion that has already been invested in this, and you can almost be guaranteed that Anthropic, Perplexity, and OpenAI are working on this problem to nail down the lead generation pipeline. So basically, what I'm saying is that just like Google took its sweet time and came up with their monetization model, you could be rest assured that it's coming. And we're already on top of it, and we're working with the technologies to as soon as it shows up, it's going to be in part of Peakzi. So be rest assured that all of these models, it is a black box today, but in very short period of time, you're going to see those monetization models coming out.
And we did, so Puan, we actually had a technician so a couple of our technicians will use it to help them, if they have a question to confirm their diagnosis, or to help them write an invoice a little bit more professionally. And our technicians are using it for different ways as well, as I'm sure most people's are. And one of our techs had plugged some information in to help them with or whatever they were doing on that job. And it did pop back a sponsored ad by a national brand. And so I took that back to some of my vendors, asked some questions about it. And that's where I was told, which I had mentioned, is that it's only available currently to national brands, but it will be, because of that, they're testing it. So I'm sure they're trying to figure out how to localize it, right, with different data that's in their IP addresses or whatever. So they know that it's going to be that they can serve the ads locally to the people that it's relevant, and the best way to do that. But it is already out there because we've actually seen it ourselves. So it's coming, and like you said, probably quicker than we all expect or think.
And that kind of goes that we're getting close to time. And I would like to ask this to each speaker. How soon will websites, SEO, and general search completely die?
I guess I could go first. I don't think that they're going to die overnight, but they are already less powerful than they were 2 years ago. Everybody's seeing this. 93% of the searches in Google AI mode end without a single click. That means your website might never get visited even when you rank well. SEO still matters, but it is no longer enough on its own. So think of your website as one signal among many. It's not the destination. I don't believe that people are going, I mean, it's a good destination for AI bots in the future. So Peakzi, at Peakzi, we want to help you understand all of those signals that AI is reading about your business, not just your website. If anybody is thinking of investing a lot of money on websites moving forward, think of that investment as you're trying to improve the information that AI bots need. And that's how I would think about it. If you're investing for people to come on the website, you're making the wrong investment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think AI is taking over everything immediately. I mean, if you think about it, people said that cash would go away. It's still here. People still use cash. I use cash all the time. They've been saying that for years. It's going to disappear. It's still here. So there's some people that won't put an Alexa in their house because they think the government's listening to them. So there's going to be those people that are going to refuse to use those products. So you still need to have a way for them to find you. So in the meantime, it might still be a website. Eventually, I would agree. At some point, it's going to take over that whole industry, and how people search for you isn't going to be the traditional SEO on Google. It's going to mostly be on AI. But I think I would be careful and not invest anything. You still need a website now, I believe. It's just my personal opinion, because that is a place where people still go and that you can convert. And if you get it for a good price, it's going to have a good ROI. But like Pawan was saying, I wouldn't invest all of my money in SEO. Obviously, you should be taking a portion and putting it into getting yourself prepared for AI so that in the future you're set up for success. But I would not just not have a website or not put any money into SEO, because we're still making a lot of money on SEO and our website, to
I
be
think it's going
transparent.
to be, again, that transition faster than like the yellow pages again, right? That took a while to do. Some people got out of it faster than other people. As search habits change, as consumer behavior changes, and whatever time period that accelerates, I think that's the answer. And I don't know if we all have the answer to that. We actually had this conversation yesterday about what could this mean even with branding. And I was talking to my marketing manager, and she was even saying things that she's read or thinking about is that, the way we even watch TV or movies, that you could have AI create your own movie or your own TV show. And, there's branded. So could your, messaging be put inside of there in some way? Could there be things that happen in that way that because people are creating their own TV shows and what they want to watch and based off of what they want to watch. So there's that thought, and maybe how does that apply, and how do we tap into that if we can? And then we talked a little bit about direct mail. Will direct mail have a little bit of a comeback? Because not only is it affecting some of this stuff that we're talking about, but we're noticing even with like spam filters, right? With outgoing phone calls, and the AI stuff is catching your text messages and your phone calls to who are your previous clients, and you're not having as much success getting through to them. So we actually went back to for scheduling club visits. We're not finding we're as effective as we once were, and we don't know if it's exactly this reason. We're going to different websites trying to make sure we've cut through those like Haya and stuff like that to make sure that we've cut through those blocked. We're not getting blocked. But we've sent a postcard saying your visit's due. If we text, we call, we email, and email is less effective anyway, but we're doing all those things. And so we're going back into some direct mail because customers are seeing it in the home and trying to get in front of them in a different way again. So we wonder, I don't know the answer, but we're testing that out. And will there be a little bit of a comeback in that way to get back in front of the client where we haven't been able to?
Very interesting. Gage?
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up. I think, the idea of traditional ads and websites and these things dying hinge a little bit upon consumer preference changing as related to like the hardware itself. Companies are investing billions of dollars in trying to replace the smartphone with wearable technology like AR glasses and things that are going to deliver a similar level of information and insights, but in a way that's maybe easier to use. The idea that an AI agent, personal, might live in the way that Siri does on your phone, in a pair of glasses, is likely a change that needs to happen. And there will be, I think, a lagging of just adoption as there is with any large change in general consumer preference. And things like that will have to occur before we completely abandon websites or really any activity that's been commonplace or traditional over the last couple decades.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you all for being a part of this webinar. It's been really great. I'll answer a couple questions because we received a couple questions about when we are coming to Canada. That will be soon, and but we'll finish that up and give some more details. And if we hadn't gotten to your questions, we'll be sure to follow up with you on those questions. Again, thank you for our great operators talking to us today, giving their insights into what they're seeing in their markets. We will have another webinar next month with different operators and different subjects around AI and how it's changing home services right now. I really appreciate everyone who's attending, and thank you again, Derek, Gage, Lynn, Puan, for joining us, and thank you for our audience.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
Bye.